Hello everybody, welcome to WildCare today. We, go ahead Haley, are meeting some of, I have to say, my very favorite wildlife hospital patients today. These are baby squirrels, and we actually have 4 of them that we're going to meet today. So we'll let Haley get started with his lunch here. So we're in the wildlife hospital, and every year the months between March and September are wildlife baby season. So you hear us talk about that a lot, about how the baby animals come in during these months, and it is just the craziest time at WildCare in every way. It is the busiest season that we have. He doesn't seem too terribly excited about eating. He's so funny. Yeah, keep trying.
He's sleepy.
He's very sleepy as well. Yeah, so the first round of these babies tend to come in April, although we have gotten baby squirrels as early as January. I have a picture from a couple years ago of the first baby squirrels coming in on January 25th. But generally we start getting them in April and May, and then we have a really, really busy round of baby squirrel season. And then it tends to peter off, and we always expect a second round of babies to come in, and that is what these guys are. Not super excited about eating.
The other one looks like he's...
Does he look like he's
around.
more ready?
We could try the other one.
You could try, I'm sure. Come back to this little guy? That sounds good. Let's do that. So here we have our 2 critter keepers. These are what we keep the tiny babies in. The ones that are in the one closest to me actually have their eyes still closed. So that means they are less than 4 weeks old. And they, oh, I hate these things. These things are so hard to open. There we go. So they're very, very young. And when they're young like this, we keep them in this very enclosed space. Of course, as they get older, we do need to move them into larger and larger cages and get them the space they need and all of the stuff that they need in order to become climbing, active, healthy, wild baby squirrels. Let's see if this little guy is going to do any better. Oh yeah, that looks better. So this little guy, again, is so young, his eyes are not even open. So he is less than 4 weeks old. I think the ears lift up off the head at 3 weeks, and then the eyes open at 4 weeks. So you can see that that eye is still actually sealed shut. And that is true of all of the mammals that we treat in the wildlife hospital. When they're tiny, tiny babies, the eyes are sealed shut, the ears are sealed shut, and they spend, at this age, all of their time in the nest with mom. I love it when they put their little hands up to hold on to the syringe. So at this age, he would be doing nothing but sleeping in the nest, and mom would be taking care of him, and she would be providing him, of course, with nutritious milk. The formula that we give our baby squirrels is very specific for them, and this is one of the main reasons, well, there's so many reasons that we tell people, if you find an orphaned baby animal, absolutely get that wild animal to a proper wildlife hospital as soon as possible, because it's so important for these 2 guys to have the proper fat and nutrient balance in the milk formula that they're getting. Before I started working at WildCare, I hadn't really thought about it, but of course cow's milk is formulated for an animal the size of a calf. It's formulated for the size of a baby cow. So if you're a baby squirrel, you need a very different fat balance because you're a much smaller animal. He's like, wait a minute, is that all I'm getting? Is he getting 5?
Yeah.
5. Okay. Yes, and you can get a good, and isn't it interesting? He already has his little fingernails. He's already got fur, but his eyes are not yet open. But anyway, so very specific formula. Hey, Emily. Very specific formula for each individual species that we care for in the wildlife hospital. So if you find a baby animal, very, very important to get him to WildCare or your closest wildlife care center. I know people are watching across the country. Emily's in Canada, I know that. But get the baby to a person that has the proper tools to give them the care they need, because a baby squirrel that someone tried to raise on cow's milk would not survive. That wouldn't be an animal that would grow up healthy. Like any baby, you have to wipe his face if he is, if he drools a little bit, if he messes a little bit. So he's getting 5 cc's, and that's based on his weight. It's very, very important to calculate how much formula each of these babies should be getting. Of course, if he were with mom, he would be eating constantly, and whenever she's there, he would just go over and, you know, latch himself onto a nipple and be able to suckle and get the milk that he needs. But of course here we have a schedule, and we have to keep them, get them as full as they can be, an individual feed, and, you know, basically give them what their stomachs can handle, and then give, you know, we have 3 hours between feeds. So we fed them at 7 o'clock this morning, 10 o'clock. Now this is the 1 o'clock feed. So you weigh them, and then you carefully calculate how many cc's, cubic centiliters, of liquid, oh, look at that, of liquid that his belly can hold, and then you give him that amount and no more, because you don't want to make him sick. And then he goes back into his warm little critter keeper, which replicates mom's nest. Oh, so fun. Hi, Lily. Very first animal I ever rescued were 2 baby squirrels. Yep, they are some of my very favorites. I'm on the foster care team for squirrels, of course, and I'm also on the skunk foster care team. So both incredibly wonderful, amazing babies. Now you can see. Okay, so now we're going to stimulate this little guy.
Cleaning him off.
We're going to clean him first. Yes, absolutely. So stimulating this little guy is the next step to go to the bathroom, right? So if you are a baby in the nest, you at this age are not able to defecate or urinate without the help of mom's tongue. Of course, we're not licking, because that would be gross, so we use a damp cotton ball or a piece of tissue and stimulate the urination and the defecation. So we make sure, and it also gives us a chance to make sure that the baby is properly going pee and poo and is eliminating properly, and that's one of the ways that we can tell that they're healthy. So of course, when they're this age, we're holding them with our hands, we're close to them, we're near them. You know, I'm talking now because we're doing this, but we do have microphones on. He is, you know, so, but we do stay as quiet as possible around our patients whenever we're caring for them. But the only interaction this baby has with humans is during these times when he's fed. And as he gets older and older, he will spend less and less time having any contact at all with humans. So finally, by the time he's old enough to be released, he will only have spent time with baby squirrel, other orphan squirrels. They'll all be in a large cage out in the backyard of one of our volunteer team members, foster care team members, and they will be completely wild and appropriately nervous around humans. We don't want any of these animals to, of course, grow up and be friendly and have any concept that humans are friends. So when they're this young, obviously you have to do some close-up care, but as they get older, obviously less and less handling happens. Lily has a question. I'd love to foster baby squirrels. So Santa Rosa is interesting. The Sonoma County Wildlife, which is in Petaluma, does do baby squirrels. I would assume that they have the same restrictions that we do. If you want to be a foster care parent for WildCare, we need you to come to the orientation, which we hold once a year. I have no idea what's going to happen with this year's orientation because it is COVID, of course. Everything is crazy. So we usually hold an orientation once a year, and then you would become a volunteer in the Wildlife Hospital. And we want our foster care team members to have been a Wildlife Hospital volunteer for at least a year before we start. Let's do these guys, and then we'll go back to the other little guy, because I think these guys are probably going to be hungry. I fed them at 10. Can't do it one-handed. So to be a volunteer in the Wildlife Hospital for at least a year before we start sending you home with babies, because it is a pretty important responsibility, and it's
time intensive.
It's pretty time intensive. It's pretty care intensive. It's easy. Oh, I think that's the top thing. There they are. Here they are. Here, go ahead. So these guys are even younger. So and I know that Sonoma has that, and I am trying to think if there is another option in the Santa Rosa area for you. I think there isn't that does mammals. You guys have Santa Rosa Bird Rescue up there, which is an amazing organization, but they only do birds. Oh, there we go. So these little fosters have been in my house. I'm going to cover up the other one so she stays warm. I've been caring for these little guys, and these were some of the skinniest squirrels I have ever seen in my entire life when they came in. They were so incredibly emaciated. And I looked at their chart. They were found on the ground. Oh yeah, of course, Lily, I know you know the Bird Rescue Center, yes. These little babies were found on the ground just so emaciated. They were being attacked by hornets. They were super, super skinny, super dehydrated. They both had mange or some other skin conditions going on. So they were in really, really, really bad shape by the time we got them in for care. And it's such an amazing thing to see a little animal that in every way, I mean, these guys were one step away from not making it. And with the proper care, warmth, hydration, slowly introducing the proper formula, we have gotten them to the point where I think they're still at risk just because they're so thin. But overall, they're doing really well. He's a good little eater. Is that the boy or the girl? We'll show you guys in a minute. She'll tell you how to tell the gender of a squirrel. It's one of those things that's kind of easy.
And they're naked like that.
Exactly, exactly. We don't have any floof yet.
A little harder with the skunks. A little more risk involved.
Definitely more challenging with the skunks. Yes, when we've gotten groups of baby skunks in, I'll be filming and I'll say, oh, is that a male or a female? And whoever's holding the skunk will say, you know what? We're not going to check. We'll find out later. Oh, you can see the little whiskers flexing. Isn't that wonderful? So these are Eastern Gray Squirrels. This is actually an introduced species to our area in Marin County. So anytime we get Eastern Grays in, we only return those animals to the exact location where they were found. We would never want to spread a non-native species into areas where the native species, which is the Western Gray Squirrel, has their strongholds. So this would be generally the Eastern Gray Squirrels are more successful around humans. They are they're just more adaptable. These guys came, you know, these are the ones you see in New York. And actually the story I heard, I don't know for sure that it's true, is that the reason we have Eastern Gray Squirrels in California is because somebody decided they missed seeing squirrels in parks, right? And so they imported a whole bunch of Eastern Gray Squirrels from the East Coast, and of course they have done exceedingly well.
They definitely are in the parks.
They are definitely in the parks, that's exactly it. Yeah, these guys just tend to be more adaptable around humans. So I'm gonna come around, Haley, and try to get, so we can see how skinny this little guy is.
Now his belly looks nice and full, but yeah.
So I've been told before that when something happens to a mother squirrel with babies in the nest, that other squirrels will raise and take care of them. Definitely not in our experience. Mostly because another mother squirrel wouldn't necessarily, well, that's an interesting thing. So another mother squirrel wouldn't necessarily know that they were babies alone. She might hear them. I think we have successfully sent a baby squirrel of the same age back to a mother with her own baby of the same age. That is something I'm going to have to look into. You know, we do that sort of fostering with raptors. And I feel like, do you have any recollection of that?
With the squirrel?
Yeah.
Not specifically.
Yeah.
I know, like, some birds are pretty good at taking care of
Birds will take care of a baby of the same
We've done
age.
raccoon.
We have done that with raccoons. So if we have a singleton baby and we have a reunite possibility. So this is the little boy, you can tell that. The little girl has an injured ankle, so we're more careful with her on the stimulating. You'll see the bruise. But I'm trying to remember if that has been successful with squirrels. It is challenging with the mammals because obviously at this age their primary food source is going to be from mom, and so adding another baby changes how she produces her milk, so you do have to be really careful with that. But I will check in with Melanie, who runs our squirrel team, and find out the answer to that question, and I'll post the reply on the Facebook page so you guys will be able to look at that. So we're just getting a little bit of fur on that tail, so we're going to come into our next little one, and this is the little female who is his sibling. And she also, oh my gosh, was so incredibly skinny. And she's had some trouble gaining weight. She does have an injured ankle, which he didn't. Yeah. And do you want to stimulate first or you want to feed first?
Feed first.
Perfect. I think that's always a good choice. Trying to figure out the best angle here. There we go. Yeah, you can see she's a little smaller.
You can see the ribs a little bit.
Oh yeah, let's see if I can get a good shot of the ribs. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a very thin baby. No question.
Disappear as her stomach expands, but
right. Yeah, I think it was very touch and go with these little guys in the beginning, and it's just such a wonderful thing to see her able to eat, able to enjoy her midday meal. Again, being fed every 3 hours, so that's exhausting.
Have you been feeding them overnight?
We have been, yep. Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I'm lucky that I'm not the only caretaker in my family, so that we are able to trade
that was nice
off those duties just a little bit, yes. But it's so worth it. Now, it's so interesting. You look at the little paws that she has, and the baby squirrels are born with those back claws, or with those black claws. You will have a tiny pink, doesn't even have fur yet baby, and you will still have those interesting little black claws and those big hands. They're just such, they come out of the womb just completely ready to climb. They're really, really fascinating little things, and they develop so quickly. So these guys will be in care for a couple of months. I'm trying to remember, I should know the time frame specifically, but it is, they'll be at least for a couple of months, because they do need to go from this stage where they're being fed every 3 hours to shorter and shorter feeds to eventually no formula feeds after we introduce them to the foods that an adult squirrel would eat in the wild. We'll give them acorns, we'll give them fruit, we'll give them all kinds of different things, different grains. Oh, look how skinny she is. That is a very emaciated little squirrel, but she's doing so much better. She is like 1,000%. I know that's not really a thing. 1,000% better than she was when I just saw her the first time. I'm going to swing around here to this side. There we go. Get a good shot of the belly. Yeah, try to get my focus here. And what's funny is when you're doing the stimulating to pee, it obviously feels good. She's struggling a little bit, but you can tell she's like, oh, okay, yeah, that feels good, because of course they're not able to eliminate on their own at this age. So mom has to do it for them. You can see a little bit, you can see the milk line in her belly. If you look in the middle of her belly, you can see that white stuff. That is the milk that she just got. And some of that is because she's so young, and some of that is because she's so skinny. You're able to see that. So it's an amazing thing to be able to care for these animals. Isn't that just the coolest thing, Haley? It just makes me so happy.
It's really nice when they come in looking bad and then they come out looking so good.
Yes, by the time we release them, she'll have a big fluffy tail and a beautiful coat and bright eyes and agile ankles, and be able to do everything that an adult squirrel should be able to do, and it's just such an amazing treat. By the way, we're here with Haley, who is one of our wildlife assistants and has been an incredible asset this entire COVID-19 experience in the wildlife hospital.
I don't know if we have any potty right now.
Not getting much?
Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, she was a pooping machine this morning, so we were joking that she was like a vending machine, but she was a vending machine that dispenses squirrel poop. So that's a thing. Excellent. Well, we're going to try to feed our other little guy, but I think he's a little shy with the talking. So we're going to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been a real treat for us. I hope it's been fun for you. We'll be back next Wednesday. Visit us online at discoverwildcare.org, and everybody stay healthy, stay well, and enjoy your weekend. Bye.